In Gemini Man, Will Smith plays a soldier and sniper working for a government agency that tasks him with eliminating various targets, until one day he decides that he's done enough killing and hangs it up. But he doesn't have much time to enjoy retirement before the agency he used to work for tries to kill him, and suddenly he's being hunted down by a younger version of himself. So basically, the whole crux of this movie is Will Smith playing two different versions of the same character, one at 50 and one in his early 20s. I have to say the de-aging technology they used for young Will is not the best I've seen. It's not terrible, but his face definitely looks weird. It gets really noticeable in the scenes where older Will and young Will appear together. The rest of the time it doesn't stand out quite so much, but they never get it exactly perfect. Will Smith is very good here though. Older Will has a lot more mileage on him, he's calmer, more relaxed, whereas young Will has more energy, he's more emotional, more naive, so they feel like two different characters with different experiences while still feeling like the same person more or less. So the most complicated part of the movie, I thought, came off pretty well. Strangely enough, if the film has a bit of an identity crisis, it doesn't come from the two different versions of the same character, it's from the actual filmmaking. A little something you might not know about me, I've been burned out on action movies for a long time. There isn't much about them that interests me anymore unless they're doing something new and different and really unique. So when I saw the trailer that highlighted this motorcycle chase that gets just ridiculous enough that they had to swap out the humans and bikes for pretty obvious CG replicas, they kinda lost me. So I wasn't even that interested to see this, but I figured I'd see it just to review it. Well, turns out that trailer was pretty misrepresentative of the movie because most of the film is not like that at all. I was quite surprised. I don't even know if I'd call this a traditional action movie a lot of the time. It has action in it, but not as much as you might think. And it's shot in a restrained way where there aren't a lot of cuts in the editing and they purposefully choose not to punch these scenes up to make them more visceral like a traditional action flick probably would. It also has other things it wants to address. It's trying to give some kind of commentary on the ethics of cloning, but that part isn't explored very much until late in the film, and even then they don't go that deep into it. And for big stretches of time, the story is very quiet, subdued, and slow-paced. And they don't really try to ratchet up the intensity just for the sake of being intense, so it's kind of the antithesis of the Michael Bay school of movie making. The plot doesn't even really start to move for like 20 or 30 minutes, which I didn't mind because they were setting stuff up, but the story definitely takes its time, enough to make me think that this was not the movie they were advertising. And in some ways that can be good. More often than not, it tries to keep things pretty grounded. Like there's one scene where Mary Elizabeth Winstead has a fight with this big guy, and she gives as good as she gets, but she takes some punishment, and then she has bruises on her face for the rest of the film. And it's like, wow, there's something you don't often see in action movies these days. Roughing up the beautiful female lead and having her stay roughed up to sell the seriousness of the situation, I actually kind of appreciate that. And moments like that felt more tonally consistent with the rest of the movie. But for every action scene like this one, there are two others where they do more ridiculous stuff, like the motorbike chase, where you've got one guy popping a wheelie on his bike so he can use the front wheel to smash the other guy around, or two people having a fist fight where they get CG'd so they can move faster than they would normally be able to move. And scenes like that just stand out like a sore thumb. They feel like they belong in another movie, as if Ang Lee was trying to shoot the film two different ways. So it's a weird situation where, just like there's two Will Smiths fighting each other, it also seems like there's two different movies here and it doesn't fully commit to either one. And because of this, it never quite kicks into that final gear. The motorbike chase is probably the biggest sequence in the film, but after that, it kind of takes its foot off the gas a bit, and the climax ends up being, again, kind of subdued and weirdly small scale too. The climax also relies pretty heavily on a last-minute twist that you'll probably see coming a mile away, so it doesn't pack the punch they seem to think it would. The twist also came off like they were just scratching the surface of a potentially much bigger story, and if they'd explored that more, they might have had something a lot more exciting, and I wish they'd gone more in that direction, but they just didn't. So it doesn't exactly end with a whimper, but it doesn't end with a bang, and that's the problem. There's a lot of good in Gemini Man. The story has some interesting ideas, and I liked Will Smith's performance in dual lead roles here, but this is a movie that is confused about what it wants to be and never quite figures that out. This either needed to be a ridiculous balls-to-the-wall action romp about a guy fighting tooth and nail against his younger clone sent to kill him, and maybe having to fight off a whole bunch of other clones along the way, or it needed to lean into the character aspects and do more with the angle of Will Smith trying to help the clone who's been misled and misguided by the people who raised him, and exploring the moral implications of the issue more. Instead, it tries to do both. And I wouldn't say it 100% failed, but it didn't 100% succeed either. So I'd say that while Gemini Man does have a fun premise and some good elements to it, ultimately it's a bit of a missed opportunity. Let me know what you thought of this review down in the comments below. Smash that bell icon and follow me on Twitter using the link in the description box so you'll always know when new videos get uploaded. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because I could use a few clones to help me fight off the YouTube algorithm, but unfortunately there's only me. For now. Do all the things, stay tuned, and I'll be back soon with more videos. Over. Out.